Welcome everyone. Today we have our another new episodes and we have our very exclusive discussion today. We will discuss on AI in business. We have our world famous speaker, Professor Edward, Mr. Raymonds, Professor David Smith. Uh, Everybody busy, but I'm happy everybody joined. First, I would like to give chance Professor Edward.
Well, thank you. Yeah, sorry, I can only be on for a little bit here because my kids are waiting outside of the door for me. But yeah, this is a very fascinating topic. It's interesting. I think it's in this book, um, "The Future is Faster Than You Think," Peter Diamandis and Stephen Kotler. But it's also in other books where they say, in the future, if you want to succeed in business, take your business and add AI. That's the formula, because AI is, of course, artificial intelligence is becoming so important. It's going to become even more important in the future. A lot of us know the what you might call the low-level uses of AI that have been around for quite some time. Artificial intelligence, for example, if you are a subscriber to one of the streaming channels in the United States and I guess elsewhere, or if you're on Amazon, artificial intelligence will say, well, Ed was interested in this movie and this movie and this movie, so let's send him some promotions for these other movies that he'll probably be interested in. Or on Amazon, of course, I get these things all the time. Well, Ed obviously is ordering this, and this. Well, he obviously wants to see about this other thing. So we see those kinds of things. Or kind of on another level, here in the United States, we have a thing called junk mail. And that's a pejorative thing of describing advertising mail. And usually here in the United States, our mailboxes are filled with these things because if you buy something, they put you on the mailing list and see all these nice things. This is one I actually like because I, buy. If you any of you guys listening to me in the Asia Pacific area, if you want an education, you don't want to spend a ton of money on it and waste it, subscribe to the great courses. You will get the best professors in the world. In these courses, I get more out of these things I probably got out of my university education. So I get these nice catalogs in the mail because an AI knows that I order a lot of stuff from this place, and that's wonderful. I also get stuff that I don't want. So one of the things that a lot of companies are doing is making sure that they don't send advertisements for lawnmowers to people who live in apartment buildings, right? They don't want to waste their time, their money sending lots of these things to people who are never going to buy a lawnmower because they don't have a lawn. Okay, those are the low level uses of artificial intelligence. But of course, there are much more serious and high level uses of artificial intelligence in business. Of course, customer understanding is crucial because a private business only makes money if they have customers who will pay them. So they always have to be alert to customers and customer needs and so forth. But it's also in the process of the business itself, of manufacturing. For example, design. When we talk about AI in business, you're talking about all the little chunks. For example, I know on some of these broadcasts, we've talked about artificial intelligence in design, right? And so you can design a jet engine instead of having 100 engineers going over all the numbers. You can do it a lot more efficiently with an artificial intelligence. Or the manufacturing process. Sorry, still getting over my COVID here. The manufacturing process, is a process that involves not only in the plant or in the facility, but outside as well. And so an artificial intelligence can keep track of all the logistics that are involved. I'm going to bring this up. I think I brought it up in some longevity shows, but I'm going to bring up something here that's a good example of what I maintain is artificial intelligence in business, or will be. A couple of weeks ago, it was announced that medical researchers had an artificial intelligence, and they had developed the algorithm, and the artificial intelligence scanned 10,000 functional MRIs of brains. Okay, 10,000 of them, and looked at these things. They trained the artificial intelligence to understand both the technology and what was going on in the brain. They were looking at blood flow in particular. Then they had the artificial intelligence scan MRIs, functional MRIs of brains that were afflicted with Alzheimer's, schizophrenia, or autism. The artificial intelligence was able to discover how to look at the MRIs of seemingly healthy brains and predict years ahead that this particular brain is very susceptible to Alzheimer's or to schizophrenia or to autism. Now, everyone and everyone would certainly celebrate a breakthrough like that. What does it have to do with business? Well, I maintain that part of business in the future is going to be healthcare. And so, for example, you can imagine a company using that technology to come up with, ways that, you maybe you subscribe as an individual, and they're going to keep track of you over the years. And if it looks like the autism is coming on, they'll look for the things to treat you. And in fact, there is a business that's doing a version of that. It's called Fountain Life, and it's in Florida. And I think they've got a facility in New York and some other places. They've made healthcare a business, in other words, and they're using artificial intelligence as central to what they're doing as a business. And you're going to see this more and more in the future, where artificial intelligences are going to be used by businesses to look at, should we be in this business? What's happening with the market ahead of time? Because you have artificial intelligences now that are trying to predict where markets are going, looking at prices. You can put into the artificial intelligence assumptions about, for example, what is the government going to do with some particular policy that will affect resources. I say it's very, very unfortunate, for example, that governments are restricting in the United States anyway, exploration for natural gas, which is a very nice, clean, cheap fuel. And so you can put into the artificial intelligence, what happens if the government does this? Well, here's how it's going to impact on our business negatively, so we have to do something else. This is going to be the wave of the future. AIs are going to be making more decisions on all sorts of things relating to business. I find this to be very exciting. And, thanks for coming up with interesting topics like this. If you're listening to me in the Asian Pacific area, that's why you need to really double down on your future studies and understand where AI is going. Because if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you better get an idea of what's going to happen. So those are my remarks. And I've got to take my kids who their intelligence is not artificial, it's real. And I'm trying to help them with it right now. So I'm going to go out with my kids in a few minutes here. Maybe I'll be able to.
Thank you. Professor
thank you very
David
much,
Smith.
guys.
Can you hear me, Professor David Smith?
I can.
Yes. What you want to add for today's discussion? I know you are in the airport. So thank you for joining.
Well, thank you. I'm actually in the airport in Mexico, in Cabo. So it's one of those strange signal days too, with it coming and going. AI is actually a very, very broad topic. I prefer to talk about data science because data science encompasses all of the different elements of AI, from some of the type of AI programs that Edward is talking about, to very simple chat box, to AI enhanced chat box, to even rules-based diagrams that are used to make very important decisions once you understand the rule base and have done the knowledge of it. It's important to look underneath the covers of AI, though, to understand it's made up of so many different tools and tool sets that you have to think through them. I mean, we've heard a lot recently about machine learning. Machine learning has, again, many different flavors of machine learning. And sorry for the announcements behind me. Machine learning, and also how you have to learn how to apply it. So lexicon management is very important of artificial intelligence. You go through there also and you see things like natural language processing, which is beginning to take the spoken text and put it in place. In artificial intelligence, you see a lot of AI image recognition, facial recognition, very important part to put the pieces together. Quantum AI is one of the newest areas of AI that we're seeing tons and tons of progress in. And it's taking the very high computational capabilities of AI there. There's also a beginning, very early stage right now of biological AI. The two most advanced types of computing right now are quantum-based computing, biological-based computing. And both of those have their own place when you begin to apply it to artificial intelligence. Uh, Quantum-based computing can do a lot of operations very fast. But what biological-based computing and something you've heard in the past, neural network-based AI, uh, they can do a lot of things in parallel, working with each other to feed it. So if you think of our brain, we're a biological base, a neural network type based artificial intelligence system as we as human make our decisions going forward. Um, it was mentioned earlier that AI is in many different applications. And yes, simple AI is in many different applications. When I dialed into this connection with Sharif today, actually artificial intelligence was in there helping me route the best solution from the Wi-Fi here in the airport through the POP, back through a point of presence with a VPN, back to the United States, jumping on the network there, and beginning to go back into uh, the broadcast in Malaysia. So artificial intelligence was helping making those routing decisions to go there and understanding the nuances. Um, I can tell you, I was in a facility here in Mexico yesterday and began to see AI that we use in the United States that is fairly old being introduced as though it's new again here. So the life cycle of different ways to deploy and use artificial intelligence is really something that continues to grow, something that continues to learn. And the application sets it's being deployed on is fantastic. On this program, you've also heard us talk a lot about something called the Internet of Things. And the Internet of Things is putting devices, sensors, actuators, and things at the edge of the network or the edge of the cloud. Well, for those to be able to work semi-autonomously at the edge of cloud, there has to be a fair amount of artificial intelligence built into those as well. And even when you're coming back across the cloud, trying to decide what is mission critical, what needs to be real time versus what can be sent when traffic is not as high, and so that you can optimize your network transmission uh, is very important. You're seeing as we look at batteries and other applications used in all these devices, we're seeing artificial intelligence being used to optimize it. In manufacturing, you're seeing tons of artificial intelligence, autonomous vehicles, tons of data science of all the different types we've talked about, including hyperspectral, multispectral type of imaging with data science and artificial intelligence applied to it. So it's an area with a lot of upside, a lot of potential, and one that because artificial intelligence is really about solving problems. It can be used anywhere in the world, any culture, any almost any problem set. And one of the benefits of artificial intelligence is it's a learning platform. You have to train it what you want it to do. You have to help it understand here's the data, here's the outcomes, what does it take to get to the outcomes. It can be used in any country, it can be used at any state, and particularly for entrepreneur startups. It's a real jump start for you because there's so many open source models, so many open source frameworks, so many open source applications, and there's even hundreds of open source training modules to help you go train it, to help you train it for imaging, to help you change it for lexicon, and others like that. That it's a perfect time to be a startup and begin to do it. And yes, even in the research universities, tons and tons of opportunities to do new research put together. But almost even more importantly, as you look, particularly in Asia Pacific and Malaysia, other countries like that, the opportunities to partner with others is great. The ability to do joint ventures, to do public private partnerships. This is an area that's ripe for that as well. So Sharif, I think that might be a good intro, and I will hang around as much as I can. Like I said the Wi-Fi keeps going up and down here.
Okay, I understand. Thank you. Thank you for joining today's excellent discussions. Uh, Mr. Raymond, what do you want to add?
Well, it's as Professor David said, it's a very, very broad subject. As a layperson coming off the street and business owner, obviously we've without even realizing it, been using AI type applications like the more reactive ones like autoresponders, the segmenting and so forth that goes on with regards to replying and segmenting market and client preferences and so forth. We've been using a very basic models of this for many, many years. And this is certainly from our business perspective, has helped us greatly with regards to personalizing and increasing service. Now we're seeing it that the exponential growth of these technologies is mind-boggling, and there are, I mean, we grew up with movies, sci-fi movies, and so on and so forth, seeing the different applications from a director or a writer reality. So it's really interesting if we think of ourselves as an intelligence, a natural intelligence that has evolved to express ourselves in any one of a million different outcomes. So we are a natural intelligence, and now with our natural intelligence, we've been able to develop, dissect our different worlds, the science, physical science, the natural sciences, and all this, and we've been able to develop artificial intelligence. So now the challenge is, well, I mean, the genie's out of the bottle, so you can't get it back in. You can't unsee what's already been seen. You can't unlearn what you've learned. So it becomes an interesting challenge from a human perspective, how to stay on as humanity, what best serves us as self. What am I trying to say here? We've kind of nominated ourselves as guardians of the planet. Not saying that we've done a particularly good job of it up to this point, but for the most part, we look at ourselves as being inquisitive, learning, growing beings that have an empathy for ourselves, our family, our communities, our environment. So I think it's going to become more and more essential, crucial, that we stay on point with the applications that artificial intelligence is being used for. Probably the self-aware artificial intelligence is obviously the one that springs to mind, and we have these thoughts of Terminator and machines sort of going, wow, you guys have done a really crap job of being guardians of the planet. We're going to take control of things now, and you can go back to, rubbing sticks together and making fire and looking at the big, thinking 2001 Space Oddity propped into my mind. It's like we have basically become the monkeys again, with artificial intelligence being that big mass that's floating in space above us, and going, okay, what have we got here, and what are we going to do with these little creatures? So I think it's going to require us as humanity to very quickly develop a sense of humility. For years, we've been trying to control, or we are controlling, the weather to certain degrees. Our exploits and forays into business and development of industry has come full circle, and now we're actually are impacting climate of the planet. So it's going to be interesting to see how perhaps we can use this self-aware artificial intelligence to perhaps guide us, because we only go so far before all the claws come out and the teeth start to become bared. So I think there's lots of really interesting things happening with AI. Theory of mind, as Professor David was saying, is like on the edges of Web 3.0. All these points of contact are already around us, and I think it's really important to remain as aware as possible of where they are, how they're affecting us directly, and just keeping an eye on where we're going with it all.
Thank you. Professor David Smith, there is a response from audience. They want to, I think, Ted, is there any danger to socially manipulative AI algorithm that collect data and manipulate the end user emotionally, being potentially open source and used for nefarious reason for by bad actors? Yeah, there is this question. So, do you want to
Huh,
respond?
sure. Uh, with any technology, there's good and bad. First of all, if you look at some of the pundits, like Elon Musk, he believes that artificial intelligence can be problematic going in the future. But then also, if you look at what he's doing with Tesla, if you look at what he's doing with SpaceX and others, he uses a lot of artificial intelligence. So it's there. You begin to see others. And
Sorry, I think there is some internet problem. Mr. Raymond, you want to give the answer of these questions? I think he back again.
What was the question again?
let me
Oh,
go
he's
ahead
back.
and finish it. The industry actually has put in place ethics for artificial intelligence. They put together frameworks for artificial intelligence. You have in robotics, which is an extension of artificial intelligence with man-machine interfaces. You have frameworks and ethics and laws there in place. What we're seeing going in place globally right now is actually governments are beginning to legislate more around artificial intelligence. You see places like several years ago, uh, Google had to turn off one of their artificial intelligence experiments because it got mean, because the data it was ingesting and learning from said people who were mean got more outcome than people who were nice. Well, you had to go back and tweak the algorithms for that. Another Google one is you have a researcher there say that one of the artificial intelligence program is sentient. Well, I don't think it's sentient, but they're getting better and better about doing their own thought. But there's a great article in Wall Street Journal this week on that, will artificial intelligence ever rule the world? And the consensus opinion is no. Uh, it will help us make better decisions, but we as people developing it have to understand that there's responsibilities that come with it. It's just like when humans begin to use fire to cook food with and other stuff like that. Fire can also burn down houses. It can do other elements like that. Same as we learned how to fly in airplanes. I'm flying for 4 hours and just a little bit on an airplane coming back to the United States. But airplanes can also be bad. I can drop bombs. I can do other stuff. Or I can also drop water on forest fires to help put them out. So there's good and bad with everything. And it's incumbent upon us as the humans to make sure we put in place the tools, the regulations, the frameworks that can use it for the best. And we're seeing even in places, particularly with enterprise class artificial intelligence, just like Edward mentioned the movie 2001 Space Odyssey. If you remember, they had to shut HAL down because of that, of a problem with the artificial intelligence. We are actually building that type of kill switches in many of the most advanced artificial intelligence we're using today. So yes, there's always a danger of that, but you don't make advances that change humanity without some risk. And we've seen that since we went from using sticks and stones to farm to where we are today. And we see really great ones on the future. We're seeing quantum AI and biological AI as being game changers where we think what's advanced today is going to be 10 times more as we begin to bring those to the market. So it's helping us be more effective, more productive, and being able to bring more consistency and do things in ways we never dreamed we could 20 years ago. So, Sharif, I hope that answered his question.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond.
Yeah, I think too with we've seen a lot of problems with the not blockchain, with blockages in the supply chain as a result of the pandemic, and a lot of our global distribution networks have been upset and are actually probably already outdated. The artificial intelligence has obviously done amazing things for companies that were on the that were avant-garde enough to onboard a lot of these new systems and processes. Amazon is a fantastic example of that. How they're able to deliver all around the world very, very simply, very seamlessly, without too many problems at all. So a lot of the distribution and bottleneck problems that we've had with the supply chain, I think, will start to become ironed out with the use of AI. So I think probably the next step will possibly become the development of these so-called super cities. If we have the distribution or the use of resources under control and better not control, but better, if it's more seamless and people can get what they want when they want it, that leads us very easily to be able to start to think, okay, what if we start to develop these super cities? I think in Dubai, they're looking at developing a huge complex, so many hundreds of kilometers long, and it's all self-sufficient. So it'd be really interesting. I think this too, all these projects we're going to see sprout up very, very rapidly in the next few decades. Looks like it's just you and us, David.
Looks like we lost Sharif, and I'm the one with the bad internet today. I agree with you. We have all these projects underway and all these events that we can handle and do and manipulate. And, you know, I, back in the early
Just see if your connection restabilizes. Here he comes.
in the early mid '80s, it's called MCC. Sorry, and I've lost my Wi-Fi, and I'm on 3G now. Um, uh, do a lot of amazing things, and it looks so primitive to where we are today. And there was one artificial intelligence research project we did at MCC called Psi. Doug Lynette led it, and it was for a common sense artificial intelligence system. That is the goal as we move towards general artificial intelligence to do it. And also, Ted says, do you see non-invasive brain machine interface? There's actually a story that I tweeted about this morning and posted to Facebook. So, Sharif, you have that one if you want to use it sometime, of the person with the longest brain machine interface in history now, just talking about it. So, yes, I see that possibility coming forward. I see it for very special use cases and not for the general public. But yes, you're going to see that as we go forward. You're going to see AR, augmented reality, and AI and machine learning, machine vision, and others take off ways we can't imagine now. The whole autonomous vehicle movement, be it a car, a truck, an airplane, or a ship, it's really taking off now in a dramatic fashion as we look at it. Let me go back and look at the final comment here on his. Uh, so we see the brain machine interface, it's really moving. And I like his comments. Up to you, Raymond. In that it artificial intelligence is a tool, and we have to use it as a tool. It's not an end all be all for everything. It's a tool to help us accomplish the objectives we need to be. Technology is not a thing. Technology is the application of knowledge to achieve a result. And artificial intelligence is one of the tools that we use as we apply our knowledge to achieve a result. And it's a very powerful tool, and one that I think can be used dramatically to accomplish a goal. And it is one of the tools we have to use as we look at it, be it in education, be it in commercial sector, be it in government, uh, anywhere it can be applied and used, from very, very simple things like just a chat box or just a yes/no algorithm basing or the right number of balls in the box, to very advanced, let me help plan to drive this spacecraft across the universe. That is the range you see artificial intelligence used. And welcome back, Sharif.
Audience, are you familiar with the discussion at the Modern Wire College by Dr. Charles Morgan? Want to respond this? Yeah.
Well, I'm familiar with the discussions there because I've actually presented in the War College as well in the past. And, part of what we do there is we present scenarios and you react to scenario. And he has presented multiple scenarios that can be done, which going through scenarios, going through and creating things like digital twins, which you hear us talk a lot about on this program, are the places where you can help ensure that AI is done for good and not evil. So those type of scenarios, those type of digital twins, those type of modeling and simulation are all very important as we use these tools. So Sharif, I hope I got that one.
Mr. Raymond. Yeah. Mr. Raymond.
I have zero knowledge about. I have zero knowledge on war gaming, so. But certainly, I think. Well, I have thought personally for a long time that war is over, and perhaps we're to work upon. We can remove some of the more silly aspects of base human behavior to be able to sort of leapfrog over a lot of these issues and give us good options for resolution, to help with facilitation, and perhaps we're going to see less need for the huge amount of spending by different countries and governments with regards to defense and so forth. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay, Professor David Smith, very interesting dialogue. I know you are in airport, uh, but when we discuss about AI in business, uh, definitely we have a lot of students who may be interested that how they can engage with this AI engineering and get more opportunities. And especially in developing world, they have more corporations. They love to learn how they can enhance the capacity with the help of AI. So, how you want to give this answer?
Well, Sharif, you're asking $24,000 questions. Yeah, there's a lot of places where students can learn about AI. Universities are a great source. Colleges and universities are a great source. But increasingly, we're seeing boot camps. We're seeing online activities where you can do this. The number of artificial intelligence certifications is going up. And in many instances, what a student learns in these online workshops, these online programs, these online boot camps, and even in-person boot camps is superior to what they sometimes learn in universities because these are more targeted, more intense, and you have to work on real world applications to come out of them. And that's one of the keys to looking at how to be successful with artificial intelligence. You have to really look carefully at the problem set you're selecting, how it might be used, which of the numerous different types of artificial intelligence that can be used, how you want to combine them together with hybrid approaches, and how do you meet those needs in the marketplace? How do you solve a real problem by using artificial intelligence versus just simple application development? So those are the type of answers there. And again, artificial intelligence is built around the concept of learning, just like students' learning is built around the concept of group intelligence. So is artificial intelligence. So using those same principles as students really should help accelerate them as they move into areas that are really driven by data science. From a student's perspective, it is actually better for them to look at the areas where data science is in the education, where data science is in the degree, than just simple artificial intelligence. Because it really is data science. And data science is really the art of taking data, wrangling it into a position where the tools can be used to affect the outcome. So, Sharif, that's my answer there.
Mhm. Mr. Raymond, do you want to answer these questions? Like two part. One is enhancing the capacity, and another one is opportunity for a student.
Well, I think you can draw parallels with back in the early 80s with the advancement of all the new computer technology. For many, many years, people were worried about the use of computers, where originally it was suggested that the use of computers by students and by society in general was going to free up a lot of people's time. There were going to be more people doing less. There was, and the big concern at one point was, there's going to be nothing for anybody to do. Of course, that's never true because we always are looking for things to do. We're curious by nature. So I see a lot of similarities with regards to that. So AI is obviously something that's here to stay, and it's something that can be used by students to help them, not just as Professor David said, solve problems, but also help them perhaps reveal their purpose. So if they have something in their life that they feel compelled to explore or to learn more about, or to develop more understanding of, I think AI can certainly help advance and speed up this process, this learning process. Yeah, that's what I have.
Thank you. Thank you. Professor David Smith, I know you are busy. What's your concluding remarks for today's session?
Well, Sharif, thank you so much. Yeah, I wish I had AI here to help me make travel better and to block out all these noises in the background. But the different types of AI, from the very simple AI to the general intelligence AI, is very important. We're moving rapidly down those posts. As Edward said at the beginning, uh, we're seeing different types of data science, different types of AI make application into almost every one of the problem sets we're looking at today across most ecosystems and as in most of the government, academia, and commercial problem sets. So it's one you really need to put your attention on. It's one where the future of all of those are going to have some degree of artificial intelligence in it. And learning how to use artificial intelligence is becoming just like learning a language of business. And so it's really to everybody's benefit to understand it deeper and to be able to apply it. So, Sharif, that's my concluding remarks.
Thank you. Mr. Raymond, what's your concluding remarks for today's session? Mr. Raymond? Can you hear me, Mr. Raymond?
Um,
Yeah.
yes, I hear you. I hear you fine. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes. What's your concluding remarks for
Perfect.
today's session?
I think we've lost Professor David. So thanks Professor David for your input and everything. I always find it very, very interesting hearing what the professor has to say. For me, artificial intelligence is something that, as Professor David said, something that we need to embrace, get close to, understand, and if we understand it, we can feel out the ways or the best ways for us individually, how we can use it at a corporate level. I think there's going to be a lot more attention paid to and like work, more of the workforce will be pointed towards developing or researching how best and how most efficiently this new form of technology can be used in good ways. I see it as overall as really positive, but you can't Google this. We can't Google the outcomes. AI can Google the outcomes. They can make all these calculations, but this is all stuff from a personal perspective that you can't Google and get too much information on, because everything, as Professor David was saying, is moving at such a fast pace. So thanks once again for the invitation to be here, and
Thank you everyone for joining today's session. Tomorrow we have our another special episode. We have debates. So I want to invite Mr. Raymond and all other speakers will join. So debate is very, very popular for us. So everybody can join and enjoy. Thank you everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye and take care.